Hey, it's Mike Cooch at my home here in San Diego. It is NBA playoff basketball time, and I'm glued to the TV. And it's so funny because I can go the entire season without watching an NBA game. But when it comes to playoff time, I'm completely obsessed. And it doesn't matter who's playing. And the reason why is because I just so enjoy watching people who are at the very top of their game in anything. In any sport, it doesn't matter. When it's time for championships and playoffs and stuff like that, I'm glued to it. Doesn't matter what sport, what time of year, anything. I just like seeing people that are absolutely obsessed with being the best, and they're truly at the top of their game. And the NBA playoffs, this year we're getting to watch, LeBron James, Steph Curry. It's just incredible. And some of the stories right now comparing LeBron to Jordan are just amazing. But what kills me anytime I go to any, NFL football game, or, you're watching something like this, maybe you're at a bar and you watch one of these games or something like that, what kills me is to hear the general public and how critical they get of these athletes. LeBron James, love him or hate him, I mean, what an unbelievable success story, both on the court and in business, and apparently it seems like in his family life. The guy is just so at the top of one of the most competitive fields in the world. It's unbelievable. And yet you will hear, the middle-aged, overweight, guy who has never competed at a high level, maybe at anything in his life, just absolutely tearing LeBron James apart about how bad he sucks, and he's all washed up, and he's old, and he'll never be as good as this or that, and look how terrible he played that game. And it just makes me absolutely insane. If you go to an NFL football game, it's the exact same thing, right? Quarterback throws an interception, and there's always those loudmouth clowns that are just going crazy, screaming about how bad the quarterback sucks and how they could do better if they were, in the game, whatever. And it just makes me insane that people are so able to hold others to this incredibly high standard of performance, and yet they're not doing the same for themselves, right? I'm actually in the process of reading an incredible book right now called Principles by Ray Dalio. And if you're not familiar with him, one of the most successful investors ever, and a very interesting, introspective guy who's written this book about what he thinks are the principles to life and success, no matter what you're doing. And in it, he talks about, and philosophers have talked about this forever, right, about how what separates us from the animals is our mental capacity to observe life and to observe ourselves within life, so that we can actually step outside of ourselves and see, who we are, what are we doing, what are we thinking, how are we behaving, versus purely just reacting and responding like an animal, in nature, right? That's what makes us different. So when you see somebody being that critical of somebody else and not able to step outside of themselves and observe themselves with that same lens, it's pretty painful to watch. And we're all, of course, guilty of this. We're all, of course, guilty of not performing at the highest level that we can in some area of our life. But I would issue the challenge to anybody watching this video to maybe use this as an opportunity to make this your playoff season, right? And to look at your performance in the key areas of your life, in your business, in your relationships, in your health and fitness, in your relationships with your friends, family, how much fun you're having, how much you're celebrating, where are those areas in your life that you need to make tough decisions and make tough changes that you haven't. Maybe those areas where you need to show more discipline and you haven't. Consider looking at yourself like that playoff athlete that you're watching on TV, or that celebrity movie star that you admire, that if you saw that celebrity movie star in a film where they clearly had not shed the 15 pounds before the film like they normally do, where they clearly were not performing at the level that they normally do that you expect of those celebrities, it's very easy to be critical. Maybe try to look at yourself like that, turn that lens, and consider yourself just as important as a pro athlete or a celebrity, right? Somebody who is playing a game for a living and somebody who is acting as somebody else for a living, we put up on this pedestal, and yet those of us who are living real lives, who are building real businesses, trying to provide jobs, all that type of stuff, sometimes we're not holding ourselves to anywhere near as high of a standard. Your life is just as important. Your career is certainly just as important as somebody playing a game for a living or acting for a living. So take the opportunity to step outside yourself, observe yourself, and act like it's that important, and find that high standard for yourself, all right? The challenge is issued. I'm gonna do the same. You can count on it.